Indonesian police are investigating 3 local soldiers who are accused of being involved with the asylum seeker boat that sank off Java at the weekend. Now, they stand accused of helping the people smugglers organise the final stages of that journey.
Rescuers have found dozens more bodies about 300 kilometres from where the boat sank. More than 30 bodies have been recovered so far, and local fishermen are helping to bring more ashore.
For more, we're joined on the phone now by our Indonesia correspondent, Matt Brown. Matt, good morning and thanks so much for joining us. What do we know of this investigation?
Well, those 3 soldiers have been questioned by military police in East Java. They're relatively low ranked, as I understand it, and they came into play when the asylum seekers were brought to the area of embarkation by minibuses or buses, and then they were ferried out to this boat that sank by 2 smaller boats. And it's the owners of those 2 smaller boats who've spoken to the investigators and actually implicated the soldiers. So there's a fairly strong link there, if that all stands up, between the soldiers and this smuggling operation. 2 crew, presumed crew, are also being questioned by police. So at the moment, they don't have great links up to who would have actually organised this entire venture, but certainly they're into what you'd say would be the mid-level of this venture.
So the suggestions by the owners of those boats is that the military members were somehow involved in getting the people down to that small village, or later on in the process?
But they actually organised the small boats as to ferry the asylum seekers out to the mothership.
Right.
This is also, I've heard about this in other occasions as well, and military personnel play the role of shepherds and essential guardians of the entire operation at that lower level, keeping local villagers sweet, perhaps paying them off, telling everyone to turn a blind eye.
Now, Indonesian police and Australian Federal Police are, of course, supposed to be working together on the ground in Indonesia to stop people smuggling before it starts. So does this investigation mean that that mission is failing?
Well, I guess, yeah, it depends on how you want to judge it. Obviously, a disaster of this magnitude is a massive failure. That said, the statistics I've seen about the number of people, asylum seekers, who are detained by the Indonesian authorities compared to the number that get through, and we generally know that because we see them arrive at places like Christmas Island, that indicates maybe 1/5 of the people moving through Indonesia to get on boats are being caught. That's probably a much higher interdiction rate than, for example, in the drug trade. That said, there are concerning signs in this case that this syndicate may have involved a man who's actually in prison in Indonesia and who's wanted for extradition to Australia to face people smuggling charges there. So, like previous cases, there are a lot of indications that even people who have been incarcerated or are in detention by Indonesian authorities are still able to operate, or certainly their networks and associates are still able to operate. And this tragedy, I should say, comes after a pretty significant year of major arrests by the Indonesian police of significant players in the people smuggling trade. So some serious players behind bars, but this kind of thing is still able to happen.
And it would seem to indicate, as you point out, those people playing a role behind bars, and then the accusations that are up against these military personnel, that we actually have, if not severe, then some substantial levels of corruption in the Indonesian military and also prison system.
Well, absolutely. I mean, in various other sort of fora we've been able to discuss that, like in issues dealing with terrorism, terrorist prisoners able to have mobile phones, and whole lots of them. But in this case, these soldiers are not alone. I was in Sulawesi earlier this year and came across a case there where exactly the same thing had happened. A local military officer was the one who organised the boat that was to take people to Australia. He was punished very lightly by the military authorities and was still doing his job in South Sulawesi. The ABC's Four Corners program exposed evidence of a mid-ranked Indonesian officer being involved in people smuggling last year in Far Eastern Indonesia. So pretty much every time we get a decent look into the inner workings of these organisations, we see Indonesian immigration officials, we see Indonesian military officers and Indonesian police.
Matt Brown, really good to talk to you about this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate.